Nothing says home for the holidays like betting on a great slate of football. And the National Football League is serving it up. Welcome to NFL Week 13 Best Bets. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Docs. It's the home edition. It is. Why are you wondering how many backdrops I can have in a single day? But yes, it is National Football League football. Nothing like talking to Mima and having a bunch of action for the Thanksgiving slate. A tradition that we love here, and we're going to keep it rolling. What is up, folks? Who you're listening to? I am the Doc himself, but more importantly, I'm joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, aka Professor Locks. How are you doing tonight, brother? On this I almost said Halloween, Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, Feliz Dia antes de Acción de Gracias, mi amigo.
Wow, can we claim bilingual in the show for that? That was
Very much. That's a negative. No.
Look, folks, it is NFL Week 13 locks and Thanksgiving preview. What is up, folks? Look, let's take this down real quick because it's another cheers. Cheers to you for making it to another holiday weekend.
That's right.
Cheers to you if you are a new listener for the first time. Appreciate you checking us out. We hope you stick around here. And finally, a very nice cheers to everybody who's been rocking with us all season long with these damn winners, because we're keeping it going here. Last cheers. Probably not of the episode, but at least for the next couple minutes. All right.
I only brought one beer down, so.
I know. I'm back to the regularly scheduled program. For those who are new and those that are coming back, the way this is going to go down here is we're talking a little bit of banter up top. Not much. We'll tell you the bye weeks, do a little bit of a recap from last week because Derek was on absolute fire. We had a pretty damn good week for the sheet overall. Then we'll do our props of the week, week 13 props of the week. Derek and I will each give out 3 of our favorite player props. Coming off a solid week where we both 2-1. So, 4-2 for the show. Then we'll get into our best bets, Doc's prescriptions, bets we feel so good about. We're going to prescribe them to you. And then we'll get a little bit degenerate. We'll get to some Degen plays.
Yeah.
A couple, we got a 23-1. We've got a couple of plus 20-1s there. And then Thanksgiving preview. We've got 3 games. We typically do a Thursday night football preview, go in depth. We're going to do the whole Thanksgiving slate because why not talk a shit ton of football? We'll each give out a game pick and then a player prop from one of the 3 games. And then we'll get the hell out of here and enjoy our Wasted Wednesday, right. Which I recently learned was a thing. But let's talk a little bit of this banter takeaways, brother. Someone that you were on and I tailed you because it was such a great pick, Mr. Shedeur Sanders. Not only, did he cash the juicy 200-plus passing yards with ease, probably would have more if Jerry Jeudy could hold on the damn ball.
That's also fair.
He was the first Browns quarterback in 26 years for just win his first career start, 0-17 before that, I believe. Pretty insane. Now, it's the Raiders. I think they're the worst team in the league at this point. Let's pump the brakes, but let's talk about Shedeur, man. I mean, give him his props, I think, right? Obviously, he's giving himself his props here with this quote. A lot of people want to see me fail. It ain't going to happen. Where are you at with Shedeur and the performance and the theatrics and everything with that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe give him his props. I mean, at the end of the day, he was 11 for 20 for 209. I mean, he barely got over that 200. And, I mean, two of those came off of a 66-yard completion and a 52-yard completion.
And one was like a 5-yard swing pass.
Basically half of those came on two plays. So, I mean, props to him. Had an okay game going against one of the worst defenses in the league out there in Vegas. But, I mean, got to win. The Browns, have a really good defense, and they were able to get enough out of their rookie quarterback, Shedeur, to end up getting the win. At the end of the day, the running game wasn't doing a whole lot. Somebody had to do something. And Shedeur found Sampson and Isaiah Bond on a couple of deep balls. Not really deep balls, but a couple of big plays to push him over that number, So,
I think, the Bond one was a nice throw. I mean, it was rolling out of the pocket. There wasn't much there that he created. I think there's a strong case. He's been named the starter for this week, even if Dylan Gabriel is cleared protocol.
Right.
I think there is a case that he has a higher ceiling, but there's definitely lower.
Agreed. I would definitely say he has the higher ceiling, but they got in the red zone a couple times, and they took him off the field to score a couple of touchdowns. They scored a couple of touchdowns from the wildcat position. So
good call.
That also shows how much faith they have in Shedeur down there near the goal line.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good call. But hey, look, good first win. Let's see this week with a bit of a tougher test with San Francisco 49ers coming to town.
No doubt.
The other quick note here.
This one's at home.
Yeah, defense.
Mistake on the lake. So we'll see.
Yeah, and who knows? Brock Purdy's handing the ball over like candy, man.
It's true.
Eagles collapse, just real quick. I mean, you see by the shirt, if you've been following the show, I don't mind seeing their misery, although I'm not an idiot and do realize, they're a good team.
Yeah.
But 21-0, and then just slowly, I think the Cowboys, if you watch that game, they had they failed on the goal line twice. Yep. They had multiple turnover. Like they really kind of outplayed them, and they came away with the win. Where are you at with this Eagles team? Where do you think, I'm someone that still considers them a top 3 team in the NFC for sure. I was thinking they were the 1 seed. Now they're the 2 seed. There's a lot of season left. But man, that offense is inept at times. And you got some injury stuff there. I kind of want to just talk about this to laugh at the Eagles, even though it's fuck the Cowboys and the Eagles. But where are you at with this Eagles team? You still think they should be, one of the top Super Bowl favorites, or where are you at with them?
Yeah, no, I think they're still, like you said, top 3, maybe top 4 in the NFC. But at the same time, like you mentioned, that their offensive line is nowhere close to where it's been over the last 2-3 years. I mean, the interior part of that offensive line has been definitely underwhelming. And then, when Lane Johnson's on the field, it's a whole different animal going up against that Eagles front compared to when he's not. When he's not there, about any team in the NFL could beat the Eagles. But at the end of the day, give props to Dallas and Dak and GP for having a hell of a second half and coming away with a big win.
Yeah, and that defense, Quentin Williams, but it's not only Williams, it's Siobhan Ravel, it's Overshown. Guys we talked about when I gave them out against the Raiders, I said, look, this team is going to look a lot improved.
Yep.
So, I still think, look, the Eagles, they're in a good spot. They're a tough team at home. Their defense is still really good. They got some concerns in the back end, but they did get some positive news about Lane Johnson that's supposed to not be season ending.
Right.
I still think that Liz Frank is really scary injury. I mean, I would not rest of the regular season. I don't know, but hopefully no surgery. We'll see. All right. Last little point before we get into the picks. Happy Wasted Wednesday, everybody. Cheers to you, because we'll do a quick little Wasted Wednesday. Cheers. This is something I didn't know about until grad school when we were in Pittsburgh, and my parents were actually in town, and they were like, it was the day before, and because typically for me, I go party at school and I come home and whatever, and for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, I'm not really thinking about going out that much. And then we were there, and she's like, I think my mom even said it, who is not the biggest drinker. She was like, why aren't you going out? Or where are you going out tonight? I was like, what are you talking about, Mom? Who goes out the day before Thanksgiving? She's like, what are you talking about? This is like the biggest night that people go out. And then I didn't realize, like, they're, grew up in Jersey, went to New York and hung out a good amount in the city. And she's like, no, it's a big night. And I'm clearly the naive idiot. I didn't realize it's like one of the biggest drinking nights of the year.
I've been in the same boat with you. Like, growing up, even through like my undergrad, it was just like night before Thanksgiving, prepping stuff for the next day. Everybody would come over to my parents' house. So
trying to be the most wholesome I probably ever am. Like,
right.
Since a whole other world out there.
Grad school, post grad. I mean, the night before before major holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, obviously New Year's Eve is a given, but night before before holidays
Yeah.
is
I mean,
is a good time.
I'm down. I'm down. So this is
Yeah,
the plan, folks. Look, you listen to the college.
especially when we got 5 straight days. 5 straight days of major football.
That's true.
We got 3 games tomorrow on
Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday. We got a Friday game. We got a
Yeah.
full slate on Saturday in the college sphere.
And we got a shit ton of games on Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, and Friday college football. Sunday we got a full slate, and then we got Monday night football. I mean,
God is good.
this
God is
is
good.
exactly this is another reason why we know that there is a God.
Yeah, look, hey, this is the plan, folks. You listen to the college show, you listen to the NFL show, and then you go get wasted with your buddies from home. You tell them about all the winners that you're going to hit with us, and we share the
Yeah,
love. And we have a fucking great Thanksgiving. All
exactly.
right, look, a little bit.
Buys. I think this is the last bye week, right?
No, next week is.
Next week. Okay, but
So, yeah,
we got Denver, Miami.
no team on
No,
buys this week.
no teams on bye. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, week
I was
13,
looking for one.
0 NFL buys.
You're right.
Week 14, I know the Giants have one. I think there's like 4 teams that do.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said, Goodell said, no, I don't care about your families. None of you are getting off. I want football on everyone's TV. So he's helping us. So we appreciate you guys in the NFL sacrificing your holidays to make ours better. All right, recap from last week. As I mentioned it, Derek absolutely crushed it. It was a profitable week for the show overall, but mostly on the back of Professor Locks there. We were both profitable on Thursday night, back to crushing it on Thursdays. But
right. Got off the schneid.
We'll do one more because why not? Cheers to you, brother. Sweep on Thursday night, 5-0 on the props. So shout out to him. If you followed Derek last week, you could not lose. We were both 2-1 on the props, and then Derek 2-1-1. Depends where you got the Jags number. There was a lot of 2.5. So I earlier and kind of later it dropped to the 2.5 there. Yeah. So I think that could either be a push or a win depending on where you got it. Jags not kicking that field goal in overtime was annoying for everyone with a -3 or before or whatever that was where they could have got up 6. But this is what it is. So, hey, looking forward, coming off a good week. Let's keep it going. NFL Week 14, props of the week. What's your first one you're taking us to?
Yeah, let's start. Gotta switch tabs here. I'm all over the place. Let's start with the Texans and Colts game. Okay. I absolutely love Dalton Schultz this week. Give me his over 39.5. He's hit this in 3 of the last 4 weeks.
Right.
Pretty easily in a couple of those. But the Colts have a much better defense than I was expecting coming into the year.
Mm-hmm.
But they suck against the tight end. To hit 40 yards to the tight end. And I mean, in general, the Texans basically go to Dalton Schultz and occasionally will go to another guy. But you'd have to go all the way back to week 2 for the Colts to not give up at least 40 yards to the tight end position. So give me Dalton Schultz over 39.5. I think him and CJ Stroud have a really good chemistry, and CJ Stroud's still going to be running for his life and looking for that nice little dump off to the tight end. So yeah, Dalton Schultz over 39.5 -110.
I like it. Yeah, no, I like it. 3 out of 4, like you said. Yeah, I think that game's going to be very interesting. I will be talking a lot about that game here in a little bit. Sure. Okay, for my first play, going to start with something a little juicy here. Give me a common guy, anytime touchdown, +155. All my plays this week are, for the most part, are coming from Hard Rock Bet, because in the great state of Florida, that's all I got. So that's where my plays are coming from. So unless you're in Florida, you probably, obviously the lines will be somewhat similar. But those Seminoles out here, they can the tribes, they say what they want. So just a heads up there. But yeah, give me a guy. Friday night, Black Friday game, 8-3 Eagles against the 8-3 Chicago Bears. You can run on this Philadelphia Eagles team. That's probably most teams' path to success. Yeah. You saw it with Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo. You saw the Cowboys getting a real good push up front last week. And then, against them, they're average giving up rush defense, 4.3 yards a rush, giving up 115 yards a game, and giving up 12 touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
giving up 12 on the ground and only 11 through the air. Which again, there's still a good defense, but typically you see that flip. Typically in today's NFL, you see a team giving up more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So there's a clear opportunity there. And Kyle Monunga, yes, you have DeAndre Swift there, but he scored a touchdown in the last 3 weeks. He scored a touchdown, and I think there's starting to be a little bit of switch, whether it's just the goal line back or whether he's just starting to get into that RB1 mold. A guy that we talked about in the offseason that I love coming out of Rutgers there. I think plus 155 is still a really good price for him. And I think this is going to be a competitive game between the Bears and the Eagles. And I think Bears have a solid offensive line. There's some vulnerabilities in the rush defense, whether it's the linebacker situation. Makuba is going to be out. Maybe Reed Blankenship. You got some backup safeties going in there. But I think he's kind of molded into this goal line back, as well as just getting a bigger workload. So I really like Kyle Monunga anytime touchdown plus 155.
Yeah.
All right, what you got? Prop number 2.
Yeah, give me a little bit of a revenge angle. Sam Darnold going back to play to play Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think this is a situation where, or I guess they're in Seattle, but still playing his former
Against
team there.
his quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a situation where, Brian Flores plays a very aggressive style of defense, in Minnesota. But for whatever reason, this season, they have not been super opportunistic when creating turnovers. We think about Brian Flores putting all kinds of pressure on quarterbacks. When we get pressure on quarterbacks, we expect them to throw the ball to the other team. That hasn't happened. The Minnesota Vikings have only caused 3 interceptions all year, 2 of those being in one game. So
Wow.
Sam Darnold,
Kind of insane to think about.
yeah, Sam Darnold turned into a little bit of a pumpkin a couple weeks ago against the LA Rams. The LA Rams, again, have a really good defense. But I think Sam Darnold is really pushing to, show the Vikings that they made a massive mistake in turning the keys over to 9 in J.J. McCarthy there. And I think he's going to protect the ball here at home. Give me Sam Darnold under a half interception at minus 115.
Yeah, I really like that play. I think, a lot of people, I think it being close to a pick there at the minus 110 either way, I think it's a great price. I think a lot of people still have that multi 4 or 3 game, whatever it was, interception game in their head.
Right.
And I think that, look, I think they're like a 10.5 point favorite against a bad Minnesota team. They've struggled to create turnovers, especially interceptions.
Yep.
And I don't think they're going to have to throw the ball that much.
No.
So, Darnold's been dealing outside of basically the Rams and the Lions are the 2 teams in the last 2 years that he struggled with.
Yeah.
So, if it's not one of them, I like it. All right. Going back to another running back here. I think arguably the best running back definitely this season. A guy that, I'm hoping continues 11-1. We give him out to lead the league in rushing this year. Jonathan Taylor. Over 83.5 rush yards at minus 110, going against the Houston Texans at home, back in the dome there. We'll talk about this game in a little bit more so, but getting back to it, I think the Colts are coming back home after a couple rough stretch, going out to Germany and then playing at Kansas City, and now they're back home trying to resettle in the dome. Their offense runs more efficiently there. I think, the Texans are a good defense, right? But you can still run on the Texans. They're the number 1 defense as far as total yards given up. But rush defense-wise, they're giving up 4.1 yards a carry and 92.2 yards a game. So you're just telling me that I'm betting Jonathan Taylor to, basically not even get to their average that they're giving up, right? And we're talking about the best running back in the NFL. Look, Jonathan Taylor, he's definitely had some boom or bust games. But when we talk about this Houston Texans, yes, great defense. Understand that, right? But when they go up against higher quality running backs, a la James Cook last week, Cook went for 116. I think that they understand. Really, I think the Bills should have leaned into the running game a little bit more because if you let Daniel Jones go against this defense and try to throw the ball, 30, 40 times, the turnovers are going to come and you're really going to put yourself in danger.
Right.
So I think they smarten up. I think they lean on Jonathan Taylor. He's hit this in 3 out of his last 4 games. 4 out of his last 5 games, that is, or 3 out of 5, whatever it is there. But I think this is one where purely through volume and going up against a good opportunity. I love Jonathan Taylor here, over 83.5. A lower total for him, which is crazy because it's in the 80s. This is a high total. But I think that people are a little bit scared off of the Texans defense. Very good defense, but they are susceptible on the ground. And I think, whether it's game script wise or just game plan, you should be feeding Jonathan Taylor and not letting Daniel Jones throw up against a defense that will pick you off if you make a mistake.
Yep.
All right, brother. What's your third and final prop of the slate here?
Yeah, I'll take a positive Giants spin for you. This prop has already hit for a New York quarterback already this year, but give me Jackson Dart anytime touchdown against the New England Patriots in Foxborough on Monday night. This
Love
is pretty simple. I mean, Jackson Dart's started 7 games for the New York Football Giants. He has 7 rushing touchdowns in 6 of those 7 games. I mean, he uses his legs, especially once they get down in the red zone. So I don't expect Tyrone Tracy to necessarily have a great game on the ground against that New England front. They're going to have to find a running game somewhere, and I think it's going to be through Jackson Dart. So give me Jackson Dart anytime touchdown at plus 300.
Yeah, I love that. Plus 300 is a crazy price. I think a lot of narrative about the concussion and him being out for 2 weeks.
He's going to step away. No,
right. I want him to be more conservative but when you talk about the goal line, when you talk about like scoring touchdowns, you put your head down, right? In between the 20s, on first down, second down, okay, let's protect ourselves and things like that. But, that's one of those things where these guys have been playing football for many years. It's very hard to kind of coach that out of somebody. Right.
Especially over a 2 or 3 week span. And it's one of those that he got a concussion that was basically called down. I mean, he went back in the game before they called it back down.
Yeah.
to take him out. So
I tweeted this out, but I think that the call to sit him again this week after practicing 4 practices he had, that is very rare for someone to have 4 practices and then still rule them out unless there's a setback. There was no setback. I think it was a little bit of the league perception. The Maras and the Giants are very particular with paying attention to how the public perception is. I think that was a little bit of that. But in Jackson Dart's perspective, he's probably been fine, and he's probably been itching to get back out there. The dude's a gamer. I'm going to, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to add that because I love that. Anytime touchdown plus 300. All right, I'll go to another quarterback, but in a little bit of a negative direction. Give me Brock Purdy under 211 passing yards. They're at minus 110. Did we see Kyle Shanahan last game? I mean, the dude was having a fucking cow on the sidelines and warranted. But, I mean, Purdy, he was about to rip his hair out because the man was just missing all over the place. He just doesn't look all the way back yet.
It wasn't even so much that he was missing. He throws those participation or anticipation balls, and he was just late on 2 or 3 of his picks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's that aspect of I don't think Shanahan's going to have a game plan where he's going to allow him to throw the ball a ton. And you're going to play Cleveland in Cleveland, in a colder game. And Cleveland has the number 1 pass defense in the league. They're only giving up, number 2 behind the Buffalo Bills, only giving up 170 yards a game. And I understand Purdy has gone over this number in, 2 out of 4. But the last 2 games, he's gone under. I think similar to when you were playing Bryce Young and Jacoby Brissett, I think they realized we don't need to light up the scoreboard going against Shedeur Sanders in this Browns offense. We gave Shedeur a little bit of props, but let's be honest. He's not going to be putting up a shit ton of points, right? I think it's going to be a lower scoring game regardless. Agreed. I think the Browns defense is much better at home, especially, you got Myles Garrett going up against.
When I have the weather report right here. It's supposed to be 39 degrees with a wintry mix on and off on Sunday with that lake effect.
That wind coming in. And for the California boys, look, I know Brock Purdy is an Iowa guy, but doesn't make it easier to throw the ball. Yep. So, I think that number is way too high. So, under the 211 pass yards there. All right, let's do a quick recap of the props here for my man, Professor Locks. He's got Dalton Schultz over 39.5 receiving yards at minus 110. Hunter. Nope, not Hunter
Nope.
Henry.
Sam Darnold under a half interception.
Sam Darnold, Hunter. I like that though because that play was a smash. Hunter Henry
Yeah.
went for over 100 yards and a touchdown. So
I just wanted to
I
bring
like
that back up
I
because
like that.
he
Yeah, good
absolutely
tout.
crushed it.
Good tout, brother. But no, Sam Darnold under half an interception -115, and Jackson Dart anytime touchdown +300 there. For myself, Kyle Monungai anytime touchdown +155. Jonathan Taylor over 83.5 rush yards against the Houston Texans, and Brock Purdy under 211 and a half passing yards -110 at Cleveland there. Okay, let's get into the best bets section, or what we like to call around here Doc's prescriptions. Bets we feel so good about, we are prescribing them to you. Think money line, spread, over, under, variety for each. So let's go here. I will let you start first, my friend. What is your first prescription for this week?
Yeah, I hate to do this, but I've just seen it so many times.
Oh boy, here we go.
As a doctor, I hate to necessarily prescribe bad news to myself, but I have to take the Buffalo Bills -3
Wow.
in Pittsburgh. I think it's just one of those things that anytime Pittsburgh goes up against one of these absolute stud quarterbacks, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, they sometimes will have Lamar and Joe Burrow's number just because they're in the
Right.
division and play them so often. But
Familiarity.
yeah, Pat and Josh Allen just tend to eat them alive. And they tend to have a pretty good running game. And Pittsburgh can't stop the run at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Buffalo can't either, but give me the Buffalo Bills laying the points at -120.
Yeah, no, I like it. I I don't like it because the wife's a Steelers fan and being around there. But
Same.
man, I don't. Well, I will say this: both of these teams really need a win. Like it's been not
They
very
certainly do.
tumultuous over the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
I typically would think that the Bills are a better team, so the better team's going to respond, but we'll see. Those Steelers best, so I'll just kind of blindly trust you because that's one where I'm like,
Yeah.
I can definitely see it kind of from both sides. Aaron Rodgers coming back,
I think we saw this 2 years ago when they met in the
on the
playoffs.
playoffs, they got crushed.
And they lost by a touchdown, I think. And that was Mason Rudolph starting back then. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. All right. So you got the Bills there going against your Pittsburgh Steelers. For me, I talked about it a little bit with some of the plays up top. Chicago +7, -115 over in Philadelphia in the link where they'll be wearing, I think, all black uniforms for Black Friday there. Look, this is a little bit of both these teams are pretty beat up.
Yep.
Chicago, more on the defensive side of the ball, where their linebacking core and cornerbacks and DBs are thin, but they are likely getting Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson back, both full practices to start the week, both trying to get activated off IR. I know Tyreek Stevenson got banged up. He may not be out there, but if you get Gordon and Johnson back, that's ultimately a plus in the secondary.
Yep.
Linebacking core is a huge question mark. Get that. But this Eagles offense, man, especially the run game, has been so inefficient that last year's Eagle team, I would be terrified of this situation. But they have failed to take an opportunity. Still no Lane Johnson. He's not going to be out there. Cam Jurgens is all beat up and not right in that sense as far as his knee and his back surgery from last year. And then really the big for me is the Philadelphia Eagles defense. You've got Makuba, the rookie safety, who's going to be out for likely the rest of the year. He needs ankle surgery. Reed Blankenship got knocked out of the game last week. Now, I think he was limited at practice this week, so he's got a chance, but he wasn't able to return. And then Adoree Jackson went down with a concussion. Now, I saw something that he was like, it kind of had an evaluation, but he didn't come back into the game, but he don't know if he's actually in the protocol. So we'll see, but enough to where we're starting to create some cracks in that secondary. And I think that's where you can take advantage of them. You can already run on the Eagles when everyone's healthy.
Yep.
And now typically it's hard to pass on them, but when you have to move guys, if you got to move Cooper Jean out of his position, you're going to put some questionable guys outside of Quinion Mitchell back there,
Yep.
whether it's Sidney Brown, Marcus Epps is still on the IR. They just got a lot to figure out there. And look, the Eagles can absolutely win this game,
Yep.
but they're really not a team that's done a lot of winning by margin. That's not been their MO this season.
Right.
So I think that this is a situation where the Bears have won a lot of close games and they've played in a lot of close games, and the Eagles have also won a lot of close games. So I just think
Yep.
this is one where 7 points is too much. So give me the Bears catching the big number at the 7. This is a big test for the Bears. They're a team that I was pretty heavy on in the offseason, making me look real good right now.
Yep.
Let's see if this is a real test. I mean, it's going to be at the link, but I think that Ben Johnson understands that he needs to run the ball and that you can do this against the Eagles. And I think that this Eagles offense is just they can't run. And
Right.
if they can't run, I don't think they're set up to just be able to throw all over this Bears team
Yeah.
with a couple of those guys coming back. So that's where I'm going in that one.
Yep. No, I don't mind that one. I looked at that one pretty heavily too, but I think it's the Bears still have the easiest strength of schedule to this point in the season,
Yeah.
and they have the
It's a big
hardest
test.
strength of schedule coming back. So yeah, it's a massive test over there in Philly. But I wish you luck in that one. I hope
All
you
right,
wish
where are
you
you
luck
going in
in
this
this
one?
one because this one is another one of those kind of scary ones. Because I'm going to go up against the world beaters of the NFL in the LA Rams. I mean, the LA Rams have looked really, really good over the past 5 or 6 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
they
They've
look
smoked teams.
they've been smoking teams. They look like world beaters. But at the end of the day, this Carolina Panthers team shows some fight. They're a little pesky at times.
Yeah.
And the big selling point to me is one, Carolina's getting 10.5 at home. But
It's a
two,
big road trip.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Over the past 5 weeks, the Rams have left LA one time, and they went,
Yeah.
you know, 30 miles south, or it's probably more than 30 miles, but they went, or I guess it'd be north to San Francisco. Like, they haven't
Yeah.
left the West Coast in a month and a half, and they're
Yeah.
traveling to the East Coast. They're playing a 9 o'clock kick West Coast time against the pesky Carolina Panthers team and laying 10.5 points. So give me the Carolina Panthers and the points in this one at -110.
Yeah. No, I like it. This is one of those where it's like I could see like 90% of the money coming in on the Rams. It's just one of those like typical too easy. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Rams are gonna kill them.
right.
The Panthers. Everyone still thinks the Panthers suck, which as someone who was on their under, they're not as bad as we thought. Right. I
Yeah,
still think Bryce Young is very limited, but
agreed.
Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard are no joke in that
Yeah,
defense.
and
Now
and their
I
wide
hope
receivers have
J.C.
stepped up. I
Horn's
mean,
gonna be out
outside of
there.
Leggett has sucked, but Zach
Yeah.
McMillan, Jalen Coker, like, they're playing pretty well.
Yeah. I hope JC Horn's back. I
Yeah,
know he went out with a concussion
right.
and he's been he's been a ball hawk. I mean, you gave him out, I think it was 2 interceptions at plus money. I mean, he had 2 interceptions in one half.
Yeah,
So that was an easy cash for
yep,
that one.
yep,
But yeah, that's that. I kind of like that. I think that, why would the Rams need to win this game by margin? Right. Sean
right,
McVay is classic for getting up big and being super conservative and letting
right.
teams come back. We saw it against the Eagles. We saw it
Yep,
against the Seahawks.
yep,
I actually really like this play. I will probably be jumping on that because it's so ugly. It makes perfect sense from a betting standpoint.
yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go another one that may seem a little bit ugly, depending on how you feel in these teams. Look, Texans are coming in off a what are
Look
they?
better as of
But
late.
they're 3 game winning streak, right? No, I'm going the other way. Give me the Indianapolis Colts -4.5 there. Being back home, Colts, look, they were world beaters in the sense of being only losing one game. Then they went up to Pittsburgh, lost. They went up to
Yep,
Germany, pulled out an overtime win, and then lost in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City. I think they come back home and get right. When we look at the Texans, they beat the Jags with a crazy comeback at home.
yep,
They were down by like 20 plus in the fourth quarter. They barely beat the Titans at a walk-off field goal, and then they beat a Bills team that's been struggling and really kind of had Josh Allen's number,
right.
right? I think that we come back here. I think Jonathan Taylor, as I spoke about earlier, is going to have a huge day.
Yep,
I think that they are a much better team at home in that dome environment. I think that even if CJ Stroud does come back, I still think this offense for the Texans is extremely limited. I think they struggle to really do much of anything. I
Yep.
think they're so reliant on their defense that with a good game plan and a good running game, that the Colts are going to be able to handle this one. So give me the Colts -4.5. Another one that's a little bit of an ugly play because Texans look like they're on fire, but I do not think the Texans are a good team. I think they've gotten some good bounces recently, and they've played some bad teams. So
Yep.
give me the Colts. They're 6-0 at home, looking to continue the streak. -4.5 there. All right, where are we going next?
Yeah, let's because I know we're both on the next one. Let's talk a little bit about Tampa Bay. Going up against the Arizona Cardinals at home. I think this is one of those funky lines where the line's at 2.5, 3, depending on where you get it.
Right.
I think a lot of this is people questioning how healthy Baker is after getting beat up in last week's game
Yeah.
against the LA Rams. Well, it's come out that he has basically a grade 1 AC sprain. Basically just inflammation of the AC joint in his
Of the
shoulder.
non-throwing shoulder.
This is non-throwing shoulder, and that's the key to me. I think, this 2.5, this Arizona Cardinals team sucks. I mean, they've lost
They're terrible.
4 of the last 5, 2 of which were by over or right around 20 points. They took Jacksonville to overtime. Probably shouldn't have gone to overtime, but they did.
Yeah.
And the
No.
Bucs are kind of on a little bit of a slide too, coming off of a back-to-back road spot here, staying down in Tampa Bay. I think that the Tampa Bay Bucs take care of business and cover this 2.5-point spread. What say you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another one where we're fading the public perception, right?
Yep.
The NFL, right
Yep.
when you
If
think you have
Baker is
it figured
healthy,
out,
what do you think the line is?
7 at
I,
least.
I,
I mean,
I
I
was
don't
going
know.
to say six
So
and a half. Yeah.
yeah, I think the problem is that there is the Baker question, which for us from the medical perspective, he didn't practice today. It looks like, but it's Wednesday.
Right.
We take that with
And
a
he's
grain
a
of salt.
vet at this point. I
Um,
mean,
yeah, does he really need to? He's kind of not been practicing a ton anyway.
right.
But it's gonna hurt. It's more of a pain tolerance thing. But
Yep.
most guys play through this,
Yep.
and again, it's his non-throwing shoulder.
Right.
So really, man, I wouldn't be betting his rushing props, maybe. But other than that, I think they should be fine. And yeah, I mean, look, the Bucks have lost 3 out of the last 4. After being only having 2 losses, like looking like one of the top teams, right? I think they were 5-2 or whatever they were.
Yep.
But they played at the Lions, they played it to the Patriots, and they played at Buffalo, or at Buffalo and at LA, right? So sorry, 4 out of the last 5 they've lost, right? I get it, but again, at Detroit, at Buffalo, at LA, and then against the Patriots. Those are some of the top teams in the league, right? And they've been beat up. They got Bucky Irving's practicing again fully. Chris Godwin is back into the fold. They're getting healthier. And I think this is going to be close to the game we saw when they played New Orleans, another bad team like the Cardinals, 23-3.
Yep.
I think this is just a clear, we're coming back home. We've had a rough stretch. We're playing an inferior opponent who has to travel all the way from the West Coast.
Right.
That's going to be a brutal travel spot to go play a one, again, like what is it, that 9 or 10 body clock game. And it's also, I think it's going to be, I'm in Tampa right now. It's like 80 degrees. Yeah. What's it going to be? Hot, 80 degrees. They're not like, no one's used to that. Yeah, if you get it, it's hot in Arizona as well, but it gets a lot colder than it does in Florida. So I love the Bucks here. Yeah, give me the Bucks -3, -2.5, whatever you call it. I'm all over it with you, man.
I
All
like
right,
it.
last best bet here for the week.
Yeah, let's and this is another one where gambling instincts are kind of taking over here, but I like the Washington Commanders on Sunday Night Football going up against another world beater in the Denver Broncos. Well,
Okay,
are they
all
world
right.
beaters though? Because they really haven't been beating teams by margin in
No,
at basically all year. I mean, outside of the Dallas win, if we're just looking at the last 5 weeks, they beat Kansas City by 3. They beat the Raiders by 3. They beat Houston by 3. They did put it on Dallas by 20, but then they beat your Giants by 1. Like the Broncos keep winning, but they win within, one
field goal.
score.
Essentially,
Right.
yeah.
And at this point, I think, the Commanders are the Commanders aren't a good team, but at the end of the day, like they can put up a few points, and
Yeah.
I think their defense definitely has some holes, but I'm not necessarily afraid of this Denver Broncos offense. And
No.
and being at home, I think the Washington Commanders can keep this one home or keep this one close at home on Sunday Night Football. So give me the Commanders at +6 and -110.
Yeah. That it's another ugly, scary one, right? You would think 9-2 Broncos or whatever they are, and
Yep,
then against the
9-2
shitty
versus 3-8.
Commanders,
Yep,
right? No Jaden Daniels expected this week. Chance for
right.
next week, apparently.
Yep,
But yeah, Marcus Mariota is a veteran. Marcus Mariota actually has not looked bad, kind of at all.
he's looked okay.
It's
Yeah.
been the defense, and that Denver offense can be very conservative at times. You're
Yep.
traveling again, west, east coast.
Yep.
I know it is a night game. Yeah, I don't mind this. I could see this being another ugly, ugly. I mean,
And
they
that's
only beat the
a
Raiders
lot
by
of the
3.
primetime games that we've been seeing are ugly games with a lot of turnovers, and then,
Yeah,
they're either ugly to the point where we're seeing, like, 30-point totals or 80-point totals, but it's because of turnovers and giving people short fields, and they end up
yeah,
being close games.
yeah. No, yeah. So I don't mind that at all. I'll take another ugly dog with you to round it out. Give me my New York Football Giants +7, +7.5. Wherever you're getting it out, I got it at 7 at -105. You're going against Patriots, another very similar handicap to what you were saying. World beater 10-2 Patriots, 4-2 at home. Giants are 0-7 on the road, 2-10, whatever the fuck that's so bad. 2-10. Good
Yeah.
lord. But you got Jackson Dart coming back from the concussion, right? Although I loved watching Jameis, so shout out to you, Jameis, keeping the
Jameis
Giants
looked
going.
good over the last
Dude,
few
he's
weeks.
fucking awesome. But the biggest thing here is, yes, you have Dart coming back, which I think is a big situation there. But to me, that entire left side of the Patriots offensive line is out. They just put
Yeah.
Will Campbell on the IR with his MCL sprain. The Jared Wilson, the left guard there, is doubtful. He's got
Yep.
a high ankle sprain. He's almost definitely going to be out, right? So the Giants pass rush, I think Kayvon should be able to come back and play this week. You got
Yep.
Brian Burns, second in the NFL in sacks. You got Dexter Lawrence. You got Abdul Carter. Hopefully
Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau. Losing 2 of your linemen is not a good situation. Like that is I mean, the
Against
offensive
that
line is
front.
all about chemistry. I will be on Brian Burns, 1 sack, probably 2 sacks, maybe 3 sacks. Like, I mean, Myles Garrett, the only guy who has more sacks than Brian Burns this year, had 5 sacks in that game,
Yep.
right? They played a bad Atlanta team. They barely won by 1 point there. They beat a bad Cincinnati team only by 6 last week.
Yep.
They beat the Bucks by 5. They beat the Jets by a little bit more margin and the Browns, but I think we have a quarterback and they don't. When you look at
Right.
the Giants, I mean, overtime loss to the Lions last week, lost with the potential to tie the game when that last series they threw an interception in the end zone, lost to the Packers, 4-point loss to the Bears. They keep these games close. They're
Right.
not getting blown out, and I can't get away from you lost your left tackle and your left guard against one of the better defensive lines in the NFL.
Yep.
That is going to matter, whether it's in the run game, whether it's in the pass game. Give me the Giants +7 there. I think they're actually live on the money line, which scares me because I'd rather them lose at this point in the season, which sucks to say.
Right.
But this is a game I can completely see them fucking around and winning. But hey, Jackson Dart wants to win. I will follow him into battle. But hey, let's do a recap here and then move on and
Go
wrap up
for it.
this Thanksgiving show. So best bets for Professor Lux. He's got the Bills -3 at his Pittsburgh Steelers. He's got the Panthers home dogs 10.5 against those LA Rams. Got the Bucks -2.5, -110 against the Arizona Cardinals, and the Commanders +6 home dogs against the Denver Broncos. For myself, I'm on the Chicago Bears +7 for the Black Friday game. I'm on the
Mhm.
Indianapolis Colts back at home to bounce back -4.5 against the Houston Texans. I'm also on the Bucks there, and then the New York Giants +7 on the road in New England without their left tackle and left guard for those Patriots. All right, let's get a little bit degenerate here. What do you got for the people? Degen play of the week. where are we moving here?
Yeah, man. I'm kind of going back to the well here. I got a 3-legger this week, but I need 3 quarterbacks to have like very average days in the NFL. So
Okay, I
I
like
got
it.
Shedeur over 190 this time and not 200. So over 190 against the Niners.
Okay,
Tyrod Taylor to throw for over 200 yards at home against the Falcons.
okay,
And then Max Brosmer for the Minnesota
Minnesota.
Vikings to go over 200 yards with one of the best receiving cords in the NFL.
It's true.
So Brosmer over 200, Tyrod Taylor over 200, Shedeur over 190 at a nice 22-1.
That is the ugliest thing I've ever heard, but I like it because Shedeur 200.
Two of them just hit last week.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Tyrod and Shedeur, I gave that out. Like I basically combined some of ours and I put that out on X. That was a 7-1 hit with ease last week. So you're
yep,
really just throwing Brosmer in there to start in the job. So it's the
exactly.
ugly backup quarterback parlay of the week.
Exactly. Just be
Shedeur,
average. Average NFL quarterbacks.
well, sometimes that may be hard, but I believe in you, brother. Shedeur, Max Brosmer,
That's
Tyrod
okay.
Taylor.
I round robin this one.
There you go. But if you want to have some faith in Professor Locks there, that is plus 2200 at a nice juicy 22-1. All right, for myself, sticking with the 2 legs there,
Okay.
give me Lamar Jackson 275 plus passing yards and Devin Neal
Okay.
65 plus rushing yards. Look,
All right.
these we're
A
going to
little
talk about
Thursday,
these
Sunday
games.
parlay.
Yeah, we are gonna do a little Thursday, Sunday, get you a real nice sweat for a couple days. These Ravens Bengals games, which we'll talk about, are fucking insane.
90
They're
point totals.
crazy.
Stupid.
They're insane. And if you look at Shadeur's numbers, he's hit this in the past 2 games. He went over 300 the last year. He hit this twice. I
Yep.
think it was like 300 plus and then 290 plus. I mean, look, people have been talking about, hey, what's going on here, whatever. Joe
Yeah.
Burrow's back. I know there's going to be no T. Higgins, but you're going to have to put up points.
Yep.
And you're going to have to throw the ball. And it's perfect defense to do it against. It's the
No
worst
doubt.
defense in the NFL. I love
Lamar.
Lamar to
Yeah.
have a big day. And then Devin Neal. No, Alvin Kamara is going to be
Yeah.
out in this one. So Devin Neal is going to get his RB1 workload.
Yep.
And, the Saints offense under Tyler Shuck has not been miserable.
No.
Now, they're not a great team, but they have a great matchup going up against the Miami Dolphins there,
Great.
and Miami Dolphins rush defense. They are bottom 4. They're the 4th worst rush defense in the NFL. They're giving up 143 yards a game, and
Shoot.
I just need Devin Neal to get 65 yards.
Less than half.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're going to give Taysom Hill his carries, whatever, but Kendra Miller's on the IR. Alvin
Yep.
Kamara is not going to be out there,
Yep.
so don't have a lot of other options.
Yep. Love
Give
that
me
part.
Devin Neal to get
Yeah.
15 carries and pop over. I mean, he's got a great matchup to really kind of launch in.
Do
Coming out of
you have
Kansas.
what that is just for Devin Neal?
I think his is more. I think his was like plus 750 for that portion.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so I will probably be laddering him to
Yeah, we
really have
might have
some
to do
fun.
that.
We should get ahead of it before it starts to get hammered down. But yeah, Lamar to have a day, Devin Neal to really give his first start debut. He's got a great landing zone. So we got
Yep.
Lamar 275 plus, Devin Neal 65 plus rush yards at plus 2375 or 24-1 there. I feel good about those. I think,
I like
hey,
it.
we basically hit a mini one last week with
Yeah.
combining some of ours. Feel real good that we're gonna make this a holiday to remember.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about these Thanksgiving name previews, man.
Do it.
It is a time we are gonna do it a little bit different this time. So typically we go in depth with our Thursday night football game, but we've got 3, and we're not gonna make this a 2-hour show because it's wasted Wednesday. There's drinks to be drunk, there's family to be hung out with, and memories to be made. So the way we're going to do this here is we're going to talk about all of them, but more in a brief sense. We're going to give out a game pick and our favorite play, 1 player prop for each, and then we'll get the hell out of here. So first up, Green Bay Packers. They are catching 2.5 there. Green Bay coming in at 7-3-1 against the 7-4 Detroit Lions, who are laying 2.5. Green Bay plus 350 on the money line, over under 48.5. The Lions, that's not correct. That cannot be correct. What are these
Oh,
lines?
the money lines? Yeah,
Yeah.
money lines. I forgot to go back and change those.
So the
Packers,
money,
Packers are on the money line at plus 120. The Lions are on the money line at minus 142.
as long as Derek can just, as long as he
Yeah, I
admits
meant
his
to I
mistake.
meant to go back and check those right before we went on the show, and that
I
I,
think the problem is we probably should
a
stop
couple too
pre-gaming
many of
our
these
shows.
before the
Yeah,
show.
probably need to not talk to the production committee there. But all right, so I will briefly read off the injury reports, and then Derek's going to start, and then I will go, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth here.
Yeah,
For the Detroit Lions, they've got a pretty lengthy injury report.
they do.
Khalif Raymond is out. No Brock Wright. Sam Laporta already on the IR. Graham Glasgow, their starting center, is out. Defensive end Joshua Pascal's out, and starting
Yeah.
safety Kirby Joseph's still out. Notable guys who are questionable: Terrion Arnold, one of their better cover guys there. The entire offensive line: Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Tate Rutledge with Glasgow already out. Isaac Tesla also questionable.
Yeah.
There
Hey,
was
but
yeah.
you Frank Ragnow is coming out of retirement, and he
He
might
apparently
have
is
to suit up
unretiring.
tomorrow.
I don't think he's going to suit up tomorrow, but I don't know. I mean,
He
yeah,
might have
apparently
to.
he might have to because if that whole entire offensive line is questionable, that's concerning.
He
For
knows the
Green
playbook.
Bay,
Well, maybe he doesn't. Never mind.
I mean, who knows? Honestly, I have no idea at this point. But he is
That'd be
unretiring, so
wild.
I think that'd be. I guess he would know the plays he played last year, but still. So
Different
yeah,
OC though.
yeah. Um, For the Packers, wide receiver Jaden Reed, wide receiver Savion Williams are out. Defensive line's a little beat up, and Carl Brooks and Lucas Van Ness are out. Van Ness has been out for a while. Questionable. Matthew Golden is questionable. Defense, these are kind of big ones here. Quay Walker with a neck, Nate Hobbs with a knee, and Keyshawn Nixon with a neck, all questionable. So beat up wide receivers, beat up back end of the defense there. Both these teams are limping into this game. Already hard enough to play on Thursday night. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, this was probably the toughest one of the three to start us out here. But to
Yeah.
me, I want to stay away from the side in this one, just because the Packers really dominated Detroit in Week 1. Now
Yeah.
the Lions have looked a hell of a lot better since starting 0-2 early on. At the same time, I do think that the Lions have some major holes on the defensive side of the ball. Their offensive line sucks. It doesn't suck. It's just beat up. But
Just not as dominant as last year.
at the same time, I do think that there will be points scored in this one. A lot of times when I look at division matchups, uh, obviously, a lot of times we'll split wins and losses. But we also a lot of times split totals, and the total in the first one was 40. So give me the over 48.5 in this one. I do think that Jordan Love has himself a little bit of a day. I do think that the running backs for the Lions can rush against this Packers front. So yeah, give me the over 48.5.
Okay. You want to do your player prop?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just mentioned it. I mean, I think Jordan Love is going to be able to throw against this Detroit passing defense. So I'll take his over 228.5 passing yards as well.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree. This is a hard one because this is one I completely on the other side. Literally. Give me
Yeah.
the under 48.5 on this one
Okay.
because yeah, I think the offensive line for the Lions is extremely beat up, right? I
Yep.
think that makes it very hard to run an offense.
Yep.
I think actually both these units, as weird as it sounds, have the defenses have been more reliable, and the
Yeah.
Packers is pretty easy to see that way. The Packers defense has been one of the better ones in the league all year. They do have some weird games that they kind of just don't show up, but I
Yep.
don't see it being one with such a big match. I mean, this is a huge game. It's a
Massive.
huge game. Right now the Bears are sitting in first, but this is a huge game for division, for the playoffs,
Yep.
everything. So I think that the buttholes are a little tight, and I'm gonna go with the under 48.5 here. I also think that I don't trust Jordan Love. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't. And Jared Goff can be also just as frustrating with the turnovers and kind of happy feet.
True.
Jared Goff this year has not been the same because he doesn't have the same protection. I think we see that. Do you think Packers and Mike Parsons and Rashawn Gary get after it a little bit? there. And I think on the Lions side, I mean, even with the skeleton crew in the back end, Calvin Shepard has done a great job keeping them in
Yep.
games with the defense. So I'll go on the under there. I will go an over for the prop. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs over 4.5 receptions. Minus 115 there. This is
Yep.
one where first matchup, Gibbs had 10 receptions. Now, I'm not calling for it to be that huge of a discrepancy there, but Gibbs is a guy where no Brock Wright, no Sam Laporta. I think you got to
Get the ball
there's
out.
going to be that pressure situation as well, right? The offensive line is going to be a little bit leaky with all those backups in there. So I think that there's going to be a lot of dump down situations where he's been the past 2 games he's hit this number. Last time they played was 10. He's the clear kind of starting to be a focal point again, as he should be in
Right.
the offense. So yeah, I love Gibbs over 4.5 receptions there. That is. So you are on the over 48. I'm on the under. You got Jordan Love over 228.5, and I've got
Yep.
Jahmyr Gibbs over 4.5 receptions. All right, moving on to the next one there. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Dallas Cowgirls there. Kansas City, they are laying 3.5 on the road there against the Cowgirls. Over and under sitting at 52.5. Cowboys, I'll be nice. Plus 3.5, plus 154 home dogs. The Chiefs minus 185 road favorites. The big game for playoffs, right? You got the
Yep.
Chiefs sitting at 6-5. You got the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 5-1, coming off of both teams coming off really big wins. Where are you going here? Well, let me look. Let me read injuries.
Yep. Go for it.
Because Kansas City's already came out with theirs. 3 guys ruled out. All pro guard Trey Smith is going to be out with this one with a high ankle sprain. Tight end number 2, Noah Gray, out with a concussion, and then a backup cornerback there for them is out. For the Dallas Cowboys, they have only one player ruled out in Tyler Guyton, and then cornerback Kalen Carson is questionable with a hamstring. So both these teams pretty healthy.
Healthy.
Isaiah Pacheco coming back for the Chiefs.
Right.
We saw a couple guys come back for the defense on the Cowboys. Curious where you're going in this one.
Yeah, I think I have to go with the Chiefs on a holiday, man. I think it's just one of those things where the
Yeah.
Chiefs like to step up in big spots, and this Dallas defense still gives up way too many passing yards. They've been better against the run since acquiring Quinn Williams at the trade deadline, but at the end of the day, I think I still trust Pat Mahomes more than I do Dak, and Dak's
Yeah.
been balling as of late with GP. But at the end of the day, I think I trust the Chiefs on a holiday. So give me the Chiefs laying the 3.5 on the road. And then
Yeah.
props wise, give me Rashee Rice over 75.5. I mean, I looked at Rashee Rice. I looked at Xavier Worthy. I looked at Hollywood Brown, Juju. I looked at them all. And for the most part, they're all pretty reasonable numbers across the board, really. So I think you could almost take any of them, to be honest with you, going up against this Dallas defense. But I am going to go with Rashee Rice. Let me just see here. Where's my tab? There it is. He just had a massive game this past week, going for a buck 41 on 8 receptions. The week before that against Denver, I mean, Denver has one of the best secondaries in the league, even without Pat Surtain. Had a little bit of a downer week, but then he had 80 yards, 93 yards. I think that since coming back, him and Patrick Mahomes have reconnected, and he's going to go over this against the Cowboys.
Very cute of them to rekindle the flame.
Right.
But no, I like that play a lot. Because the Cowboys rush defense, I think we can make an argument, has been a little bit improved, a little bit fixed. That pass defense is still very susceptible.
Correct.
Just because Jalen Hurts and the Eagles stopped being able to throw the ball effectively downfield does not mean they magically got a lot better on the back end. So I like that play. I'm not too usually that big of a totals guy, but I found myself on a bunch of totals for Thanksgiving. Give me the under 52.5. That's a shit ton of points. 52.5. I understand it's in Jerry's World in that semi-dome there. But when we look at the Chiefs past 5 games, I
Yeah.
think they haven't hit this number in any of the past 5 games. Even with overtime last week, it was only 43 points. Then against Denver, 22-19. Even at
Yep.
Buffalo game, that was higher scoring.
Right.
28-21 was only 49 points. And then they shut out teams, so
It's a lot of
they're
points.
perfect to this number. And the Cowboys, yeah, they've had a lot higher totals, but they're still have only hit this in what is that? 2 out of the last 5 because their defense has improved, right?
Right.
I think both these
Right.
defenses are solid units now. I mean, so there is vulnerabilities for the Cowboys pass defense, absolutely. But the Chiefs haven't been really, putting up a shit ton of points either. I think this
Mm-mm.
is going to be a slower playing game. I think that both these teams understand how important this game is. And then ultimately, I think that the Chiefs do kind of shut down a little bit of what Dallas wants to do and throwing the ball. And that's
Sure.
going to go into my play. Dak Prescott under 265.5 passing yards. Dak's had some great games, and then he's had some somewhat mediocre games.
Yep.
And, the Chiefs are a top 10 pass defense, only giving up 195.5 passing yards a game. And I think this is one where you can run on the Chiefs a little bit more. I think that's a little bit more of their effective route to go. And you've got an offensive lineman out as far as pass protection and what that's going to look like. So I think this is a lot more of a grinded out game. I think this is a lower scoring game. I do not think this is going to be one of those fireworks games. I know you
Yep.
have Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes, but I think the defenses have a lot more to say in this one about who wins it.
Yep.
So give me the under and give me Dak Prescott under the 265.5 for Derek. Give him the Chiefs on a holiday. Always a good bet. And Rashi Rice over 75.5 receiving yards. All right, last game on the slate, and then we're getting on out of here. The Cincinnati Bengals looking to rebuild the season a little bit. The 3-8 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Baltimore to take on the 6-5 Baltimore Ravens, who are turning their season around. Joe
Yes.
Burrow's back in this one. You got the Bengals +7. They're plus 295 road dogs. Over under sitting at 51.5. Another big total. The Ravens -7, -375. Home favorites there. For the injury report, Burrows activated off injury reserve and will start. Wide receivers T. Higgins, Jermaine Burton have been ruled out. Trey Hendrickson's going to be out in this one. And then they've got safety Dewan Anthony and cornerback Marco Wilson activated off the IR. Now for Baltimore and the Ravens, Justice Hill has been ruled out and Taven Bryan. Everybody else, including Lamar, Kyle Hamilton, and Rashad Bateman, will be playing in this one. So, Bengals, no T. Higgins, no Trey Hendrickson, basically. And then the Ravens, no Justice Hill. But everybody else is good to go, including Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Where are we going in this one? AFC North, baby.
Yeah. I mean, this might be the easiest bet of the entire show.
Yep.
Give me the over 51.5, man. I mean,
Smash it. Yep.
yeah, I mean, both of these defenses are not very good. You got Joe Burrow coming back. Yeah, I absolutely love the over 51.5. Just looking at last year's, both of their matchups, they played on November 7th. There was a 69 point total. They played
Nice.
on October 6th. There was a 79 point total in overtime. So these teams, when they face each other over the last year or so, they just kind of go off offensively and just kind of forget the defense is even a thing. So yeah, give me the over 51.5. I think as a whole, this is a Derrick Henry game. Over the past couple of weeks, or really over the past month or so, he's kind of gone over this number, under this number, over this number, under this number. But yeah, give me Derrick Henry over 100 rushing yards at plus 120. If we look at the Bengals entire season, they've only given up less than 100 yards in 2 games.
That's fucking crazy.
And, I mean, the Ravens will occasionally give Keaton Mitchell a handoff. They'll occasionally give the ball to Justice Hill. They're not going to in this one. Give it to King Henry 25 times and just let him pound the rock over and over and over again. So, yeah, give me Derrick Henry over 100 at plus 120.
Yeah, no, I like this because I don't have to say a lot because I'm on that over 51.5 with you. This game's going to be insane. They
Yep.
always are. Joe Burrow always lights up that secondary,
Yep.
and Lamar always has himself a day. And, I like the King Henry play as well because this is the worst defense in the league. They're giving up over 400 yards. So
Yep.
I think Lamar's going to have a good day. You think Henry's going to have a good one. I'm going to continue with another Lamar. Give me Lamar 6+ rush attempts, plus 135 there.
I like that too.
I think we get some kneel down opportunities as a
Yeah.
7-point favorite. I also think that Lamar is going to show out against the worst defense and a defense he's very familiar with. You do not have Trey Hendricks in there. They're going to struggle to get pressure. I think that he's going to be able to run around. I mean, it's hard to not like any over in this game, to be completely honest with you. But I will focus in on Lamar with the 6+ rush attempts at plus 135. And we are both on the over there. You're on Derrick Henry. All right, my friend. 2 shows back to back right before on our Wasted Wednesday to get the winners out to the people. What do you got to say before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this episode, like Seb just said, we just recorded our college football episode. We got some major rivalries coming up on Friday and Saturday, so make sure you check that out. Are you doing your injury report tonight or tomorrow?
I'll do it tomorrow morning. Yep.
Okay, so he's got his injury report coming out tomorrow morning for us fantasy nerds that want to make sure our fantasy lineups are set. And then, props wise can definitely help you out on that side of things as well, especially for the Sunday and Monday night games. Or Sunday games, Monday night game. But as always, we appreciate any likes, subscriptions, follows that we get. We're on the road to 1,000. That was the goal set at the beginning of the season. You guys have done an amazing job at smashing all of those buttons to this point. At this point, hey, it's the holidays. Start sharing it out to family members, cousins, uncles, your cousin's new boyfriend talking, we're going to be watching football. You might as well share the love. And if you've been following us at this point or to this point, we give out winners,
That's all
and
we do.
you might as well share the love with some family and friends.
Yeah, nothing like having action, trying to talk to Mima and Auntie Sue and whoever it may be.
Although you may want to be cautious on who you talk betting with. You can talk talk football with anybody.
Yes, it's true. Whatever. It's 2025. But it is the season of giving. So, hey,
you can always ask Mima, hey, have you watched the Degen docs over on YouTube?
Shout out to Mima. Look, season of giving. We give out winners. All we ask for return is a like and a subscribe. But look, fun show. Hope have a great holiday. Stay safe, everybody. Enjoy your Wasted Wednesday, and let's have a week here in the NFL with a great slate. All 32 teams in action.
That's right.
All right, folks. You know what they say: a lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. From the Doc and Professor Locks here on DFSG Plus, we are out of here.